Well, just like that, one of the best shows this year has come to an end, following what many people were describing as one of the best episodes of TV ever made last week. And to be fair, it did get a 9.6 on IMDb. The finale of Paradise had a lot to do to close off this first season in a way that matched the quality of the episodes that came before it. And I feel it definitely did. With us finding out who was responsible for the death of President Cal Bradford, us seeing his death play out in the most horrific yet beautifully constructed way, and Sinatra showing just how evil she truly was and the lengths that she was willing to go to in order to keep her secrets. Let's dive into this episode and break down all that there was to take away from it. Here is Paradise Episode 8, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The opening scene's importance. This episode was titled The Man Who Kept the Secrets, and it was a title that was very well suited for a number of different reasons. One, because it was the name of the book that was kept in the library that correlated to the number 812092 that Xavier found on the cigarette, which held the transcript of Sinatra ordering Billy to kill the explorers. And as well as that, it also highlighted the fact that there were survivors, there was information on how many people could have still been alive out there, and it had directions on how to get out of Paradise. Plus, it was also well suited because Trent, a man that we saw was the project manager for the hidden city being built that was fired in the opening scene, was also the person that tried to assassinate the president before they evacuated the city. This scene was important because not only did it provide the backdrop of the motive of Trent wanting the president dead, because he believed that the elite's lives were being saved whilst causing the death of others, but it also showed us the lies, deceit, and risk that was put upon the workers that were tasked with building it for the special select few, despite the fact that they were being kept in the dark and didn't know that death was on the horizon for them due to them being exposed to iron arsenic sulfide, which was a biohazard. Trent cared deeply for one of the people on his team called Adam, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get Adam to listen to him when he told him to leave. This was because Adam was using the money that he was earning and sending it back to his family in Africa, so they were relying on him and he didn't feel like he could step away. With Trent believing that there was something sinister on the way and uncovering the truth through extensive research, that's why he attempted to kill the president outside the White House. Because he believed that people deserved to know the truth about the devastation that was on the horizon. The elite had all corners covered, were in control, and they were the lucky ones which were going to survive, and the regular folk and workers were the ones that were going to die. Something which showed that even with the opportunity to build a new world, one which didn't have to mirror the structure of the one on the outside, the very same lies were still being embedded within the heart of it, and that this paradise that was created was actually built on the bones of others, and death haunted the streets that happiness was supposed to flow through. The song As Long As I See the Light opened this episode, and visually, it was the very thing that Xavier saw at the end. So it was poetic, and people were now about to see the light. The president's death explained. When it came to Cal Bradford's death, we found out that the DNA didn't match anybody that was on the inside, so it made it seem like somebody could have snuck in and killed the president that way. And technically, that was true. Mr. Trent actually played dress-up several times in order to get inside. He first posed as a police officer after escaping jail and walked the actual Eli and Margaret Davis out into a barren area and killed them. Then he used Eli's identity to get into the Paradise City. He also recruited the person that we believed was Maggie into being his wife so the performance could be complete and they could get in amongst the panic. This was why no DNA matched the crime scene because, realistically, Trent was never supposed to be there. What was interesting about this was that whilst Trent was living as Eli, he actually got comfortable in his life and he was planning on living out his days there. But it was on the very evening that the president walked into the library in his pajamas and made a mixtape where all of Trent's memories of Adam came flooding back to him, and it made him realize that he didn't deserve to live the life that he was living because he lost the person that he cared about most in the process of constructing it. So he put on the outfit that was in the library that Presley saw on the night of Cal's death, the one which had the symbol from Kane's bookmark on. And he also picked up a rotary drill bit which was used in the construction of the city and snuck into Cal's house and bludgeoned him to death with it. Something which felt quite symbolic due to the very thing that killed Cal being connected to the construction of it. The DNA that didn't match anything was found because of the drink that he picked up through being in shock after hitting Cal. The scene where Cal was murdered also answered the question about why the tablet was in the bushes, and it was there because he dropped it when he was hit. We also saw Cal write X on the cigarette box in his dying moments in his blood, showing that he wanted the secrets to be uncovered and for the person that he trusted most, Xavier, to find them. Realistically, Trent had an issue with the president, but it was actually Sinatra that should have been the person that he was after. However, what this probably showed was that it's often the public figure that takes the hit, when in reality, there are higher-ups making the decisions that lurk in the darkness and get away with it all. What the ending means. The ending of this episode was one that was extremely eventful. First off, we saw that Trent stepped off the edge of the sky of paradise following him being closed in by Xavier and Agent Robinson as he was looking to escape and tell the people of the outside the truth. However, he didn't want to rot in jail after being caught, and with him not feeling as though he deserved to live, seeing as though Adam, the person that he cared about, didn't get the chance to. He wanted to have the same fate as him, so Cal Bradford's murderer was splattered on somebody's roof. With Sinatra promising Xavier the safe return of his daughter, and also the location of his wife Terry if he found out who the killer was, we saw Sinatra's moral compass being thrown into question. She knew that Jane had her held hostage, and she was treading the line on whether to have Presley killed in order to protect the chain of command and the secrets. This is something that I feel makes Sinatra genuinely the most evil of all. She knew firsthand what it felt like to lose a child, and she was prepared to inflict that pain onto Xavier despite knowing how horrific it could be. Jane did seem like she was going to go full psycho and kill her, but she double-bluffed Sinatra and told her that she'd been dealt with, when in reality she was fine. Xavier believed that his daughter was dead, and because of that he killed the two guards after sneaking a weapon that was attached to his legs, and he was demanding answers from Sinatra. He was going to kill her, and it was something that definitely would have been satisfying for him, but Jane snuck in and shot her somewhere that was less fatal so she'd be able to survive, showing that Jane almost now has Sinatra in her pocket. Jane has an abundance of information on Sinatra, and as we know from Jane being the person that was tasked with killing Billy, she's the biggest and scariest MF that she's got, so she won't be taken down easily. I want to know what Jane did on the outside though, because she's ruthless, cold, and holds no emotion whatsoever. Sinatra will survive, but her position is something that's probably going to be thrown into question, and the recovery will most likely be long. Xavier and Agent Robinson made the decision that Xavier should go to the outside and look to find his wife whilst trying to seek answers of what's going on out there. He'd do this whilst she looked after his kids and protected them with her life. Right at the end, we saw him getting in the plane and he had his father's badges alongside him, almost as a way of remembering him despite the fact that they had a tarnished relationship on the outside. And it now seems like he's going to be flying to what was formerly Atlanta with the hopes of finding Terry amongst the 55 million survivors that were in the United States. It's going to be a needle in a haystack situation, but I imagine he's going to do his best to find her. It also seems like Jeremy, son of President Cal Bradford, is going to be seen as a leader-type figure, as he was the person that shared the truth on what occurred. With the leaders also in disarray, the president not being able to control them and Sinatra not being around, it showed that the power looked like it was with the people, and there could be some kind of uprising that might be on the horizon. I feel like that could well be the case. My review of the episode. I thought this was a great episode of the show and the perfect way to conclude the season whilst setting up a second. I love the fact that the next installment is going to be split between Paradise and also the outside world. It was a large mystery that was at the epicenter of this season, where we were wondering what the outside world was like, and now we're going to finally see what it's like when the show returns for its second season. Dan Fogelman, please, take a bow. You created another near-perfect show that not only provided tension and mystery with a gripping story at its core, but it was also sprinkled with emotion and relatability with the character dynamics. The reveal of the killer being the librarian was one that I definitely didn't expect, but I like the fact that it was an outsider that we weren't too familiar with. We got the backstory to his motive in this episode, and I'm glad that we did because that was definitely needed. Even though Trent was only really in one episode, he delivered a great performance. Whilst on the topic of great performances, Sterling K. Brown absolutely smashed his role as Xavier. I've never seen this man do a bad performance, and that continued on in this show. I just buy into whatever character he plays, and he's become an actor where if he's in a show, I'm definitely watching it. And there's not many people that have the capability of doing that, so it shows the level that he's on. The scene where we saw the death of Cal was one that was incredibly emotional. Seeing the disregard that he got from everybody that he cared about in his life moments before he died was just heartbreaking, and having them all flashing towards him was upsetting for sure. Xavier saying how he'd sleep well when he's dead, and also his father telling him that he wasn't proud of him. It was just so sad. The fact that the decision was made for the murder to be silent and to have a piano piece playing underneath it was the perfect decision, and it allowed the scene to feel more immersive and emotional. It couldn't have been done any better. One element of this show that I've praised a lot, but I'm going to continue to praise, is the score by Siddharth Khalsa. Throughout most of this episode, there was a rhythmic beat that really contributed to the atmosphere of tension, and it felt like the reveal was always only moments away. Plus, the usual motif that we'd hear throughout the show had a slight twist on it, and that was also played alongside it too. It provided a sense of familiarity, but uncomfort too. Honestly, this is one of the best shows that I've seen in a long while, and I'm so glad that Fogelman is back making incredible pieces of television. If I were to give this show a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it a solid 8.5. If you've not watched it, then please do, because it's just remarkable. I'm actually gutted that it's finished. So, there you have it. Paradise Episode 8, Ending Explained. If you want to see more episodes of Paradise being broken down, then click on the card in the top corner. There's an entire playlist there. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What did you think of Paradise? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for tuning into this week's breakdown of Paradise. In fact, all of the breakdowns on Paradise. It's been great covering the show and diving into the comments with you. And I'll see you in the next one.